system, heart diseases and things like that. You will know why this is important. But the background to it is I have worked with heart patients. I've done research on stress and things like that on heart patients. And at one time I was a consultant to the cardiac rehabilitation program in SGH for quite some years. And from that we published another research paper where we do stress management strategies with people who are stressed and manage a lot of people who have problems after their heart attack. So, and like I said before, my background is in preventive medicine, and one of my missions is to help people understand their body and to take steps whereby they can protect themselves from disease and ill health. That's why I gave this kind of talks. So, as a refresher, you know, from very earlier on, you have this famous father of medicine, Hippocrates, who say that if you hit the bone, a lot of diseases can be treated. And you know that heat is useful in a lot of disorders. That's why physiotherapy makes use of heat. A lot of physiotherapists do that. And we have used hot and cold compressors. The other thing is frequency. Frequency is widely used in medicine nowadays, and terahertz therefore is a frequency. And of course terahertz is not confined to this device. It's used in health, science, military, agriculture and communication. Your 6G is terahertz. And recently terahertz 6G has been investigated for safety, found to be very safe. So that is further evidence that indeed this is what we say it is. So just kind of to focus, this is the visible light from red or indigo all the way to purple. Yeah. So this is the visible range, this is the infrared area, this is ultraviolet. Of course, you are familiar with ultraviolet. A lot of elderly gentlemen, because of cataract operations, have to wear dark glasses. Not they want to be yentao, but they have to protect against ultraviolet rays. Okay? But of course, X-rays and all that, gamma rays and all that, are very penetrating. They can damage your cell. Infrared is safer. Infrared goes into the microwave, which you are familiar, and radio frequencies. Microwave, everybody is familiar. There was a scare that microwave can cause damage. Actually, research shows that it is very safe. But whether microwave food tastes better or not is subjective. If you think it doesn't taste as good as natural, fresh food, by all means don't use it, but not because of safety reasons. Then terahertz is far infrared, intermediate infrared, and near infrared. Okay? Infrared waves are very, very helpful, very useful. We go to a campfire and we feel energized. Why? The infrared waves coming to you. And for a very long time, infrared waves are also used in physiotherapy, also used in devices that provide help. A friend who bought the iteracare tells me that they have blankets that produce infrared radiation. Put on their bed, they sleep on it, gives a lot of health benefits. So infrared has all these benefits, and in fact, when you use terahertz waves in COVID-19, that's because it was discovered that infrared waves protects you against COVID-19. It actually does. It actually kills the bacteria. And so this is again evidence of the effectiveness of terahertz in COVID-19. Okay? So it shares features with microwave, and that's why it can penetrate. when you want to microwave food, it penetrates and heat up the food right in the center of it. So terahertz waves share this property with microwave. Okay? If you have any questions, please ask. How many of you are heart patients, by the way? Oh, I'm the only one.
Heartless.
You're heartless.
Heartless.
I see. So you are cold-blooded lah.
Heartless.
Because if you're heartless, then you have no blood, then you're cold-blooded lor. Okay, these are the features of terahertz waves that are of interest to us. And I like to point out it does not damage your tissue at all. It penetrates, but it's absorbed by polar compounds. Polar compounds are conductors of heat. Metal is a conductor of heat, right? Water is a conductor of heat. So any conductors of heat block it. That's why it is used in security. It is better than current securities scans. You see, they have demonstrated on video how this can detect things which normal security scans cannot. So this is an advantage. So the energy of these terahertz waves is equivalent to very weak chemical bonds such as hydrogen bonds and what is known as van der Waals forces. Okay, and that's why it has that effect on water. That's why you drink terahertz water. That's the result of it. And because it's absorbed by biological tissues, and different tissues in your body has different resonances. So you can see layers. See? So in bone, for instance, they have demonstrated that terahertz wave can show 3 layers in the bone. Well, I didn't know there were 3 layers, but terahertz wave tells us that. So that's how powerful it is. See? And with tissues such as those polar tissues, terahertz shows what is called scattering. Because scattering is like a mirror, you know. When you shine a light on the mirror, it gets reflected, right? You can see yourself in the mirror. That's exactly what it is, and that's why in medicine we make use of that property. Okay. So terahertz waves can be used for diagnostic. That's when we do scans to determine, like we talk about the bone having 3 layers and all that. These are the diagnostic effect. We can use it to diagnose, to find out what it is. The other thing is it can be used for therapy, which is what we are doing it for. Okay. Now I'm not an expert in diagnostic techniques, so I won't talk about that. For that you need a radiologist who is more familiar. I'm talking about therapy, use of terahertz. So you probably know this already, but these are the things that matters to us in this lecture. Terahertz resonates at the same frequency as normal human cells, generating millions of vibrations per second. It's a combination of Chinese and Western cytology technology. The Chinese part has to do with meridians and energy flow and all that, which increasingly is accepted. You know, there is evidence to suggest that meridian channels do indeed exist, and it is used in a lot of techniques used to treat, for example, like autism. For example, in acupuncture, there's a scientific evidence for it. For example, psychological techniques also. To show that. Then of course it can penetrate. That's why we can use it for various conditions. If it can't penetrate, then it's only on the surface, and only the skin benefit, but it can actually go in. And what I want you to focus on is that you can reach micro blood vessels, capillaries. It helps in the circulation, and one result is because it can relax the smooth muscles. So it dilates blood vessels, reduce blood flow and resistance. You know that blood flow there's a resistance, right? That is measured by your blood pressure. Okay? And therefore it improves circulation in general, but also the microcirculation, which is more important when it comes to certain conditions. So it can activate cells. Okay? So sometimes cells are not active, and because they are not active, it's not functioning as it is. Okay? So with this, it induces and strengthens normal cells and DNA. One way it strengthens DNA inside the cell is that it can actually, when it enters the cell, it can unzip DNA. DNA, you know, is two strands, right? Like a zip. When it's two strands, it's not active. That is, it's not producing the chemicals, the neurotransmitters, the growth factors or whatever, the inflammatory substances that do all the things to you. So terahertz has the ability to open up the DNA and therefore activate it. Quite remarkable, I would say. So now we're going to talk about cardiovascular diseases. These are the cause of death for Singapore in 2020. If you note carefully, the single biggest cause of death is cancer, 28.6. I want you to look at anything that you do with the blood circulation, the heart, the arteries and the veins. Hypertensive diseases 2.9, other heart diseases 2.1, strokes and all that is 6%. You add these three up is 11. You add this to ischemic heart disease is 31.5. This is more than cancer. So in other words, diseases of the circulatory system is the biggest killer in Singapore because it can cause strokes. Like, I have a family history of circulatory diseases. My father had heart disease and high blood pressure, which I also had. Two of my brothers died of stroke. So it's the same thing. It depends on where the vessel get blocked or burst, right? It can be in the brain or in the heart. So it's the same thing. It's the same pathology, but in different locations, you see. Many years back, I was taking some Chinese herbs for my cough and cold. And being a kiasu person, I take extra dose. And end up one day with blood shooting out of my nose. So my ENT colleague attended to me and said, it's because of a blood vessel that burst. So we traced and found out that, yeah, prior to that I was taking a lot of traditional medicine, and a lot of traditional medicine have this effect. That is to say that when you are taking powerful chemicals, be careful of what they do, what are the effects. You take supplements, that's fine. I remember taking a supplement and then I end up with all kinds of growth on my skin. So I stopped it. Everything has its side effects. Being a cancer person, I always overdo it. So be very careful. So because circulatory diseases is a major cause of death from these statistics, let's have a look at first blood pressure, which is something very important. So normal blood pressure is 120/80. It is considered high if this is 190. You have high blood pressure the minute this one goes up. Once it goes up, it's more than 80. These are the latest guidelines, okay, by the American College of Cardiologists. Okay. All right. Hypotensive is not an issue unless you are female. Females have lower blood pressure, and among Singaporeans, I found ladies who are just 90/60 or sometimes 80/60, 55, that kind of thing. Very low, but they're okay. But otherwise, this is not so important. but this is important. In the past, people were saying that as you get older, you had a higher pressure. So in the past, they were treating people like myself who are in the 70s up to 130, 90, or even 140, 90. Longitudinal follow-up suggests that this is not correct. People with blood pressure more than 120, 80 have a higher risk of everything. So now the standard is you want to treat to below 120, below 80, no matter what your age is. So right now my blood pressure is maintained about 110, 70. I suppose that is the key to my long life. I should have died much earlier on, right? But I didn't, because this is one reason. So that's blood pressure for you. And when we talk of high blood pressure, what are the causes? Now it is very clear to you by now that blood pressure is due to the way we live. The first thing, increasing age. The older you get, the chance of you getting blood pressure is there. You can't run away from it. When I was young, I don't have any high blood pressure, but as I get older, I do. Okay, another cause, I'm not sure whether it is in a slide further on, but another cause is if you're male, the risk of you having high blood pressure is there. Just being a guy put you at risk already. So you got to do something about it. Lack of activity, not lack of inactivity, lack of activity. That means if you are very sedentary, you don't do anything, blood pressure will go up. It's true. Now you understand. Excessive sodium. Hawker's food is very salty, right? They dump a lot of salt in it. Everything throw. Meeting also throw, everything throw. Trans fat has to do with fried foods. Fried food produces trans fat. Of course, if you eat fried food once in a while, it's okay lah, your body can handle it. But if you eat it every day, Kentucky Fried Chicken, you've got a lot of trans fat. And that is a risk for hypertension. Stress. When I work, when it was known that it was produced by stress, heart disease and all that, I was asked by my colleague, hey, be a consultant in my cardiac rehab. So I worked there. And my work was to help people reduce stress with biofeedback and other techniques. And in the research paper we published, we were able to show that it did help heart patients with stress. It's a very important factor. And if you have diabetes or obesity, you are at risk for high blood pressure. That is a fact. Especially when you have obesity plus diabetes. But if you have diabetes, you are at a great risk for high blood pressure and heart disease. A missionary friend of mine was admitted, he was said to have a heart attack. So when I visited him, I asked him, don't you have any chest pain? He said, no, I didn't have any chest pain. I just could breathe, so I come in the hospital. They say I got a heart attack, and they say I have diabetes, which I don't know. I said, yeah. Diabetes give you silent heart attack. Very important to know that. So these are not only lifestyle diseases, these are silent killers. If you do nothing, you die. In the good old days, people don't know that they have high blood pressure because they don't measure. And then suddenly they have a heart attack, they go to hospital, they are told they have high blood pressure. And it didn't just occur that day. It probably for years. It takes a few years, at least 2 years or more, before your high blood pressure causes you to have heart disease. You see? And in women, some women when they get pregnant, they have high blood pressure. Now, that high blood pressure in pregnancy gives you the risk that the baby can die. It's called pre-eclampsia. When preeclampsia becomes toxic, it's called PET, and it's not a PET, it's pre-eclamptic toxemia. The blood becomes toxic and kills the baby. So the importance of this is that a pregnant lady who has high blood pressure during pregnancy is likely to be at risk for high blood pressure when she gets into menopause. So it is an indicator that something is wrong. Not everything is right. So these are the causes. What are the complications? What can high blood pressure leads to? Well, the most important is heart disease and stroke. And it can lead to obesity and diabetes. Peripheral arterial disease, we don't think very much that it is caused by high blood pressure, but it is. You know, in diabetic, they get their legs amputated. You know, some people who smoke, when they walk, they feel painful. That's it. Peripheral arterial disease. Your arteries in your limbs, especially your lower limbs, get narrowed. You don't have enough oxygen, so it causes pain. When too long, the tissue of your legs don't have enough oxygen, they die off. That's why diabetic get amputation. It can cause retinal degeneration. You know, the eye surgeon look into your eye, they're looking for hemorrhages caused by high blood pressure. They are looking for a lot of things associated with high blood pressure. And it can cause loss of memory, same reason. You know? It causes blockages, it causes bleeding, it causes a lot of conditions, and as a result, you become demented. No fun, huh? It can cause erectile dysfunction. In fact, there were some cases where people were detected to be high blood pressure because they were not able to perform. And when they can't perform, the most single important factor is high blood pressure. Because high blood pressure causes a deposition of atheroma in the arteries. And when you have atheroma in the arteries and narrowing in the artery, there's not enough blood going into the penile tissue when there's supposed to be an erection. And when it can't go in, it can't erect. This is important for males. Of course, it also occurs in females, but it's not so dramatic. Huh? So there you are. Serious. Hypertension is serious. Treatment, what can we do about it? Reduce processed food. Take fresh food. If you can, switch to a vegan diet, but it's not a compulsory recommendation. I myself is not a vegan, I'm quite happy with it. There are conditions why some people can or cannot become vegans. Exercise is extremely important. Okay? I can't emphasize it because that will reduce it. Then regulation of stress. Many techniques like meditation, mindfulness and all that are able to reduce blood pressure, and this is what I specialize in. I help people to do that. My books on stress and panic attacks tells how you can use these techniques to reduce the blood pressure. Then there are medication. Medication, there are many types of medication that are useful in blood pressure. So the earliest medication were beta blockers. Beta blockers were the first group of medication that was used in high blood pressure. The problem with beta blockers was that it caused a lot of side effects. You get very tired, you think your pulse is very low, and if you are a male, you can't perform. Erectile dysfunction is a side effect of beta blockers. I used to complain about that to my cardiologist, and so now we have better blockers. We have better medication, calcium channel blockers, which are much better. They don't give this kind of side effects. Then ACE inhibitors. ACE stands for angiotensin converting enzyme. it has to do with the enzyme called angiotensin produced in the kidney that raise your blood pressure. Okay? Or angiotensin receptor blockers. Okay? So this also produces side effect, but over the years we discover one thing. All these medications are adjuvants to one another. And adjuvant is a very interesting phenomena. That is, you use two medication. If you use an ACE inhibitor, you need so much dose. You use an angiotensin receptor blocker, you need such a dose. But if you give half the dose of both given together, somehow their effect is double or even triple, you know. So this is called an adjuvant. And I'm now on two different medication. I'm on ARB and a calcium channel blocker, which together, very low dose, give me a bigger effect and lower my blood pressure. So you really need to see a proper cardiologist. You can't do it by yourself, and a GP cannot do it too. So my colleague helped me after many years to find a good combination for me, and I'm on that combination now. So iteracare radiation can help, but iteracare medication cannot be dosed properly. That means we don't know how many minutes or how many will give you the effect. So because of that, if you have heart disease, if you have high blood pressure, don't depend on that. Depend on medication more reliable. Because the dose response curve is consistent and we know. See? Because it's based on scientific data and statistics and all that. So that's how you deal with blood pressure. Next,
how does the iteracare therapy help?
I'll come to that in the later stage.
Okay.
In fact, it's covered in the earlier slide as well. But we'll talk about that later on. So, heart disease, there are many kinds of heart diseases. One, there's a coronary artery disease. When your coronary artery, I have a diagram later on to show you what coronary arteries are narrowed. Okay, coronary artery disease supplies the heart. These are the arteries that give blood and oxygen to your heart. So your coronary arteries can be affected, and then high blood pressure can, or heart disease include ischemic heart disease. Now ischemic heart disease and coronary artery disease are two different things. When you have coronary artery disease, your coronary arteries can be narrowed, but your heart is normal. Otherwise, your heart tissue. Ischemic heart disease indicates that your heart suffers from ischemia. Ischemia is lack of oxygen. When your heart has not enough oxygen, it dies off. Like for example, I've done a scan on my heart, and I have ischemic heart disease. That was at 2004. And you can see that the bottom of my heart, the tissue, there's no live tissue there. It's dead tissue. So that is ischemic heart disease. Your blood muscles actually die. So your blood muscles didn't die, okay? Then you don't have ischemic heart disease. You can have blood pressure, you can any other things, but you don't have ischemic heart disease. And then there's valvular diseases. You know the heart has valves. I'll show you later on. And if your valves don't function properly, you need to do something about it. So they may not function properly because of disease. In the days when people were poor, you may not have heard of it, rheumatic fever can give rise to valve diseases. Okay? Syphilis can give rise to valve diseases. And a lot of other things can give rise to valve diseases. Then there are disorders of rhythm. Your heart beat at 60 to 80 per minute, isn't it? So some people who have abnormal heart rhythms, they can beat very fast, very slow. They have abnormal patterns, some fast, some slow. So this is a whole subject by itself, and all doctors have to memorize all the patterns so that when they see a ECG, they can interpret it. And I remember as a medical student, spent a lot of hours trying to understand this thing. Disease of the pericardium. Pericardium is the covering of the heart. One of the complications of vaccination is that you have inflammation of the pericardium. That tells you that this is an important consideration. Then aorta. Aorta, the big vessel that comes out from the heart and supplies your entire body almost, can also give rise to diseases. The most important of these diseases is something called aneurysm. That is, the walls of the arteries get weakened. When it gets weakened, it can be blown like a balloon. So an aneurysm is a ballooning of the arterial walls as a result of the pressure. High blood pressure can give rise to this aneurysm.
This is typically which part of the body in the reason?
Oh, aneurysms can occur all parts of the body. For example, my church, one of the ex-bishops, Moses Day, you may have heard of it. His wife died because of aneurysm in the brain. So in the brain there is a circle of blood vessel called the circle of Willis. It's very prone to form a balloon-like aneurysm. So apparently she has an aneurysm in the circle of Willis which burst and caused her death, caused a stroke which kills her. Many people have that aneurysm there. What's that fellow? Things he get. It was thought that he had. At least I heard rumors. Don't take it for me as a fact. You want to repeat it, please check. Google for the fact. But that was my impression, that he had aneurysm. So, aneurysm in the aorta are common. There are two causes of it. One is syphilitic. Syphilitic disease can give rise. One is the aneurysm that is more commonly due to the blood pressure. So this is how a heart looks like. These are the four chambers. No, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the aorta. This is the major blood vessel that comes out of the heart. The blue one is the right system. The right system supplies your lungs. Okay. So these are blood that are not oxygenated. They come back carrying carbon dioxide from the tissue, then goes to the lung, come back oxygenated, red with your left ventricle, then go to the rest of the body. Notice that all the four chambers are protected by valves. Valves here, this is a aortic valve, this is a mitral valve, this is a tricuspid valve, and this is the okay. This is a pulmonary valve. Okay, so blue stands for oxygen poor blood, red stands for oxygen rich blood. Okay. Now, when you understand how the heart functions, you will know why you have problems. So, valvular problems. Two kinds of problems can happen. Stenosis, then narrowing due to disease. Normal opening is like that. If it doesn't open properly, it looks like that. Regurgitation, so usually happen on the left side. So blood goes through, there's still leakage. The thing is, when the left ventricle pump and send blood to the aorta, it also send blood back to the left auricle. It should come here and here, right? This direction, right? But when it pumps, it goes there and it goes back there, and then when it relaxes, this is supposed to be closed. But because of the pressure in the aorta, this leaks back. So there's leakage when there is regurgitation. So that's what happens when your valves are damaged. What are other problems? This is aneurysm. Normal, it should be like that. When there's an aneurysm, it balloons up. The danger, of course, is when the aneurysm bursts, you bleed like crazy.
Internally.
Huh?
Internally.
Yeah, internal bleeding. Who was it? Some prominent person died of aneurysm sometime back. I can't remember the name, but somebody who is known to most people. Can't remember the name.
How can one tell when you suffer from it?
Huh?
How can one tell when you suffer from it?
It's an emergency.
Oh.
If you can't get to the doctor in time, you bleed too much, you die.
No, I mean as in external symptoms that
What?
A person when
It's
is bleeding.
sudden. You don't know. If the thing causes pressure, you may have symptoms because of the pressure it puts on the organs. But it can be without symptom. It can happen very suddenly.
Is it possible through physical examination, like when you press somewhere?
If there is any symptom and you check or you do a scan or whatever and you discover that there's an, quickly do something. Okay? So if there's an aneurysm, so that's why listen to your body, pay attention to your body. And you can pay attention to your body if you practice something like mindfulness or meditation, which I advocated. Huh? And when you practice that, you notice that your body is not right. Then go and check, find out what's wrong. And that's how you pick it up. So all the conditions I'm talking about in this lecture is about conditions to do with our lifestyle and mostly are silent killers. If you don't know, it just happened. This is atheroma. This is to do with cholesterol. These are normal blood vessels like that. When it's blocked by your cholesterol plaques, it is like that. So this is a high power picture of the cholesterol plaque. Normal blood flow is like that. Once a plaque is there is turbulent blood flow, which adds to the problem. Notice that the plaque is below the cell wall of the arterial. This is arterial cell wall is below it. Notice that once lipid and cholesterol get deposited there, it also attracts a lot of other things. Foam cells, smooth muscle cells, lymphocytes, collagen and proteolyticans. So it's a mixture. And then when you get calcium deposited, it becomes hardened. Right? So serious, isn't it? And you don't know until something happens. So we're going to talk about something happening. These are the arterial system of the heart, the arteries that supply your heart with oxygen. All these are arteries, different kind of arteries. Now, if you have a block here, which is high up, what happened? How much of the heart tissue is affected? The whole lot here, isn't it? Right? What happens if your block is here? It's at the tail end, right? So how much of the tissue is affected? Much less, isn't it? Only this area. So when I had my heart attack in 2004, my block was high up, somewhere here. And fortunately, the block wasn't complete. 80% block. And after giving me medication, my cardiologist colleague says, I still have symptoms. You better go in. It is going to get worse. That means, when I saw this, I realized, if I have not seen my cardiologist immediately, and immediately they have gone in and do something, and put a stent in, I would have just collapsed and died. You heard of people who collapse and die? Not heart attack. They have a block high up. And it's sudden. No time even to say goodbye. No time to tell your friends, say, see you in the next life or whatever you want to say. You see? So it is serious. I couldn't impress on you more. Coronary artery disease, as I say, I think this is a legit slide, isn't it? Have we talked about this? No. Age and sex, we mentioned that already. The older you are, if you are male, you are at risk. Smoking is an important cause. For goodness sake. smoking has no benefits. Alcohol has some benefits. But below 2 units of alcohol per day, you have some benefit. Any more than that, you are dead. 1 unit of alcohol is about roughly 1 pint, 500 cc's of beer. So 1 liter of beer per day boleh tahan. Anything beyond that, you're asking for trouble. Lack of exercise is a very important cause of coronary artery disease. High blood pressure, high cholesterol. I'm going to talk about lipo A and ApoB. These are very important markers. If you have heart disease, if you don't have a heart disease but you have a family history, that means somebody in your family has heart disease, you are at risk. So that's what it is. Diabetes, as I tell you the story of my missionary friend who had a silent heart attack because he had diabetes. Very important to note that. So this is cholesterol. You heard of LDL, right? Low density cholesterol. You have HDL, right? You might want to know there's such a thing as VLDL, very low density cholesterol. IDL, intermediate density cholesterol. And all this are bad cholesterol. They cause you to have atheroma, or the plaques that give us what it is. HDL, high density lipoprotein, brings your plaques back to the liver, reverse cholesterol transport. They save you. And one of the ways of getting HDL is exercise. The more you exercise, the more HDL you produce. So you want to live long, keep exercising, but do the kind of exercise that protects your bone. Do you know one exercise that protects the bone? Swimming. They found that swimming is not very effective. Yes, it does, but it's not very effective when you compare. I don't know why, but that's the research evidence shows that.
Jumping.
Huh?
Trampoline. Jumping.
Trampoline. Back on the knees. Because of the force.
No, because of the cushion.
Huh?
The trampoline is good.
In exercise, that protects your bones. Walking. Long walks is synonymous with long life. Long walks with a companion is synonymous with a happy life.
Okay, let's go.
So if you walk, you live long. Especially if you walk a long time. And if you walk with your loved ones, you have a happy life. That's what it means. You see? So that's what walking will do for you. That's what exercise will do for you. Now, I was a bit confused just now when I prepared because I think there was something wrong with the way I label my slides, and yeah, now I see. These are the what happened when you have coronary artery disease. You have angina. Angina is the name given when your heart don't get oxygen. When your heart don't get oxygen, it tells you by giving you pain. Okay? So pain, I think that's all, nothing else except pain, that is angina. No heart tissue damage. There are 2 types of angina, stable and unstable. Stable angina means that there are coronary plaques in your arteries, but somehow they are not increasing. That means, let's say you have, now anything below 70-80% block, you have no symptoms, you don't know. You need to reach about 70 to 80%, then you have symptoms, right? So what happens, you have 70-80% block, and then you take a medicine and it goes down and the pain no more. That's stable. Why I was told to have unstable angina was because although I was 80% block, He gave me the medicine to open up my coronary arteries. The symptom didn't go away. When it doesn't go away, it means that it's evolving. It means it's increasing in size from 80 to 90. When it reaches 95, 99, you have a heart attack. So that's unstable angina. Unstable angina can give rise to the condition where you can just collapse and die. So now there are a lot of reports of this iteracare being able to help with heart disease. Those cases, I must warn you, is because of stable angina. Just like taking a tablet of GTN or whatever to open up your heart vessels. So yeah, this will work. But if you have unstable angina, don't try. It takes 7 minutes to kill you. That's why people in Singapore are taught CPR. If you do CPR, contact the ambulance, and if the heart continues to beat after your CPR, you get to the hospital, you are damaged. There are people who have been saved that way. In the past, people just die because it takes just 7 minutes. 7 minutes is pretty fast, huh? Might talk how many minutes? Many minutes. Huh? So, no joke. It's no joke. Your life depends on it. So, it's the same for your loved ones. If your loved ones have heart disease or they have risk factors, cholesterol, diabetes, obesity, watch out for this. Then, when you have heart attack, there is tissue damage. Then heart failure. Heart failure happens when your heart fails. Your heart fails means that it cannot pump out the blood, and your body get the benefit of the oxygen as a result of the pumping action of the heart. So that's heart failure. So when you have heart disease, some of the medication given to you strengthen your heart muscles and allow it to pump out the blood. Sometimes heart attack is also caused by your lungs being waterlogged because fluid are not being pumped out into the heart and to the rest of the body. So the doctor needs to give you diuretics. Diuretics are medication that makes your kidney work harder and pump out the liquid out of your heart. Okay. So another kind of heart disease is not coronary. This ischemic heart disease is arrhythmias, irregular heart rhythms. There's one type of heart rhythm that can cause you to die immediately if you don't handle it. It can be so serious that even if you can do CPR, you can't do anything. That's why when they do CPR, now it's attached to ECG, and ECG tells you, oh, this is VT, ventricular tachycardia. So your CPR machine allows you to give a shock to the heart, to reverse the tachycardia, to bring your heart back to normal rhythm. Because if you don't, VT means you die very fast. Because what happens in ventricular tachycardia? Your heart is beating so fast, 120, 140 per minute, that it can't pump out any blood. It's just like in a tremulous state, It's serious. So if you suddenly collapse and there's CPR facilities and people try to resuscitate, after pumping about a couple of minutes, they could do an ECG check. It's VT, shock. And there are people who are saved by that. Thank goodness. Very dramatic. That's why everybody should learn CPR. It is life-saving, especially if it involves a relative. So that's why people who have heart disease, at risk of this kind of thing, the family are taught, learn CPR. You save a life. It's very critical, very serious. So what to do if you have heart disease, you have ischemic heart disease especially, high blood pressure especially, quit smoking. First thing you do, if you're smoking, quit. If you don't know how to quit, seek out somebody like me who do behavioral techniques, we can help you to quit. I follow a behavioral technique called aversive smoking. We force you to have such an unpleasant experience of smoking that it's easy for you to give up. That's the technique. The other thing is start an exercise program. And I have a schedule of how you can start an exercise program no matter what your age is. As long as you get certain basic things right. And if you get an exercise program, you save your life. I guarantee you that. Never stop exercising. Oh, I have knee problem. 1983, 84, I have my knee problem. I was then in the reservists. And somebody else also have knee problem. What did he do? Apply to HDB for ground floor flat. Don't want to move because of arthritis. What did I do? I start jogging. Many years later, a nursing officer in my reserve unit talked to me. Hey, how come you're wearing a knee guard? I said, I've got knee guard. Oh, how long already? 10 years. Look, 10 years ago, there was another fellow also with arthritis, you know. I said, what happened to him? So, he's invalid, he's now in a wheelchair. So, exercise save me. You don't use it, you lose it. Control your blood pressure. Critical. It's a silent killer. Watch your cholesterol profile. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. Pay attention to these things because these are risk factors. And so, to prevent, you must do like that. Maintain a healthy weight. I couldn't emphasize you more. Food is good. A lot of us are on a seafood diet. You know what's a seafood diet? Whatever food you see, you eat. Lovely, I love a seafood diet. I love food. Honestly, I love food. But you learn to control it. You learn to regulate the amount. You learn to choose healthier foods. That's how I keep my weight down. I still have my char kway teow. I still have all the fried foods I enjoy, but space them out and protect your body. So try to go for low fat, low salt diet. And if you eat hawker's food, that's pretty tough. Right?
Yeah.
But you can regulate. How do I regulate it? Ask for soups. Soup usually has less salt. Right? That's how you can regulate it. And make sure you have plenty of fruits and vegetables. And go for whole grain rice, whole grain bread, and things like that. Cut down on it if you can. Cut down on carbo if you can. Reduce and manage stress. That's what I was good at. That's what I do. That was my role when I was in the cardiac rehabilitation unit. I was helping heart patients to reduce and manage stress. A lot of heart disease has to do with anger. I remember one Malay technician. He was an excellent technician, but he was so angry. He was angry with his sister that gave him problems. She's a mental patient anyway. So he got a heart attack because he was so angry. So I teach him how to manage his anger. And so has a lot of other people with anger problems. Another was a Chinese guy. He was angry with everybody because he's an angry father. So everywhere he go, he find angry bosses. Oh, because he's a woman. Then he got a male boss, also angry. Can't be sex. All the bosses are angry. Ultimately, he come to me and I help him with it. If you have diabetes, look at it, because you can prevent yourself from dying. If you manage your diabetes well, I know some people who manage your diabetes very well, they can live long, they can live happily. But diabetes is a topic for a talk all by itself, which is tremendously interesting. Thankfully, I don't have diabetes. ischemic heart disease, the commonest cause of heart disease is coronary artery disease. And the commonest cause of coronary artery disease is high blood pressure and cholesterol. So you see the connection? Why you got to pay attention to this? Why I decided that I should give a talk on this, because this is the most important cause of death for people in Singapore. Next to cancer, this is in most countries, cancer and heart disease, strokes and the heart are the major killers. But if you combine strokes and heart together, they are the number one killer of people. There's no cure. There's no cure for heart disease, by the way, unless you replace your heart. But you replace your heart, you need to do so much medication to suppress the tissue rejection, isn't it? Take steroids until it bloated up like a balloon. You need to manage such that you don't prevent future heart ischemia. So you have a heart attack, you get it treated, and you're happy. Bear in mind, heart attacks can come back again. That's why heart patients are on medication for life. I have survived my heart attack this year, 2022. 9 years now. By next year will be 10 years. My last treadmill was perfectly normal. All the blood vessels were clean. Not a single plug was detected. So I have to say, good for the next 5 years as far as the heart is concerned. So that's where you should be. If you are anything above 60, you should have a treadmill examination, male as well as female, because you're past menopause so many years already. It is important to know that. Improve blood flow by medication, by any means, iteracare, everything. Manage your risk factors, your cholesterol, your blood pressure, your diabetes if you have them, and appropriate activity level, including exercise. As I reach this age, when you're above 70, if you can take long walks, if you want the benefit of long walks as well as the cardiovascular effect, I learned from my colleagues, all different specialists, all because of our age group, we've been doing everything we can to manage our health. But the best recommended exercise is a combination of jogging and walking. That means you walk for 2 to 4 minutes or 5 minutes, and then the next phase you walk, then you jog and walk. Why jog? Jogging gives you the cardiovascular benefits, which walking may not give. In other words, it gives you a cardiac reserve. It increase your ability to cope with sudden demand for your heart to react to activity. So that is a useful thing you can do. Appropriate activity. And mind you, the older you go, play some games. Because as you get older, you discover that one of the things that happen to you is that you tend to lose your balance. Yeah, that means some part of your nervous tissue is gone, and you can't balance yourself. So what do? Make sure you play games, because games require you to balance yourself. You don't have to play football. You can play a slow game of tennis. It's better to move your joints and your body in different direction. Or play golf that requires you to twist your body around, balance and all that. So, or dancing, if you still can. For that you require a partner. So this helps you to maintain your balance, and that helps you to have a lifestyle that you enjoy. So there are many ways to increase the blood flow to your heart. Medication, control of blood pressure, medication for cholesterol, medication to regulate your heart rhythm. And of course this one, angioplasty. Angioplasty means to reduce the blockage. So you do that with a balloon. And then stent. Stent is to put a wire netting on the walls of your artery to hold the artery in place and to prevent build-up of flux. Bypass surgery, lifestyle change. That's what I was working on in the cardiac rehabilitation unit. So this is insertion of stent with balloon angioplasty. So that's what happens when you disease. You got narrowing because of the flux, right? You insert a balloon with a netting, the stent in it. One stent is quite expensive. If you do it in private hospital, it can cost you a bomb. So you insert that in, the balloon get inflated, expand the stent, press the flap, okay, and then the balloon is then withdrawn, leaving the stent behind. So this stent protects. This is how it works. In the good old days, they introduced it by an artery and your hip. Nowadays, I'm told you can even do it in your wrist. Wrist shorter. And the hip, it goes through, pass through your kidneys, pass through everything, go to your heart, and then this one direct, much shorter distance. So that's what happens when you get a stent. Bypass surgery. So they get the veins from your legs. So your legs have a lot of veins. So they take one strip of vein. And where did they put it? They put it here. By putting it here, blood from the aorta go through this vein graft, bypass the obstruct arteries. This is the obstruction of the arteries here. Bypass it. That's why they call it bypass graft. My good friend has a bypass graft. I have stents. Okay? So, if there are disorders of rhythm, if the heart's rhythm is abnormal, that's what we do. We can medicate and we can ablate the focus. In other words, the rhythm is due to the conduction system of your heart. So if the focus is a particular area which kind of trigger off the abnormal rhythm, we can use the catheter to ablate it, to kind of destroy it, so it doesn't cause the abnormal rhythm. And of course we can use a pacemaker. Of course nowadays there are a lot of sophisticated procedures which I don't think I want to go into, but these are the more common sense ones that you can understand. Okay? Cholesterol, the good and the bad. There's so many stories about cholesterol that I think it's important that we understand what are the latest findings. So all of you know about the bad cholesterol, the LDL, the good cholesterol, HDL. Okay? But you hear doctors keep saying APO, APO A, APO B, and all that. What is APO? Now you know. Lipo A is a type of LDL with an apolipoprotein A. And apolipoprotein A1 is a component of HDL. Apo A1 is the one that brings the cholesterol back into your liver. Apo B is linked to a LDL, it carries fat and cholesterol. So this is associated with LDL. So the ratio of APO A1 and B, that's what some doctors look for. This is considered a marker for heart disease. Some people look at the ratio, some people look at A1. Up to you. We don't normally do it on everybody. For everybody, we do HDL and LDL, but as you see in the diagram earlier on, there's VLDL, very low density lipoprotein. It was considered to be important, but nobody measures VLDL. But it was found that this and this are very sensitive markers. So if you have heart disease, they will measure it. First, for example, I got mine measured. That's good. So if you're a heart patient, you got to know all these things so that when the doctor measures, you know what it means. Now, this is a picture. LDL, ApoB, the bad one. So this carries the cholesterol and all that. So you got a bad one. This is lipoprotein A. Lipoprotein A is when the ApoA got attached to it.
Wow.
When it gets attached to it,
That's a dangerous one.
bring it back to the liver.
Oh.
See how your body manages it. Support your body to function normally. It will save your life. What is the goal of treatment?
Not absorption.
Well, earlier on, we do absorption to block the absorption of cholesterol. There are a lot of medication that do that, and also prevent cholesterol by doing restriction of food that have cholesterol. It won't work. It won't work. I promise you, it won't work.
It's true.
Waste your time. You know why? Your body produces 1,000 milligrams a day.
Already.
One egg is 300 milligrams. Only 20% of your body, of your cholesterol, is contributed by your diet. When this came out some years back, I said, ha ha ha, thank God. I love eggs. I go back to my eggs. You can take up to 5 eggs and it's still alright.
Per day?
Yes.
Oh, I thought 2 is less.
No. If you eat more cholesterol, your body produces less. You don't eat, your body only produces so much because that's what your body needs.
Gotcha.
Cholesterol is needed for the production of stress hormones to help you cope with stress. Cholesterol is needed in all the hormones that has to do with sex. All the sex hormones are cholesterol based. Testosterone, estrogen, they're all cholesterol based. Your brain, most of it is made up of white matter, which is cholesterol. So, your body needs cholesterol. You see? Okay, but if your family has been vegetarians for generations, then maybe it's a bit different. Because when you don't take meat, you have less cholesterol in your diet. So what happens is people who come from those kind of family, their genetics are such that the body produces a lot of cholesterol. So when you switch to a non-vegan diet and take meat, you have to be careful. Right? Conversely, if you switch to a vegan diet, yes, you can reduce cholesterol because you reduce the intake, but your body will make it up. There are many issues to do with being vegan, which if you look for the information, it's on Google, but maybe you don't know how to look for it. But that's what it is. So statins reduce the production of liver, production of cholesterol. And that's why it is important. It doesn't quite affect the cholesterol that you eat, you see. Right? The goal of treatment is that we want to reduce the bad cholesterol to less than 100 milligrams. Below 100. Your good cholesterol is due to your exercise. Must be more than 40, but preferably above 60. So, one problem with statin is that a lot of people complain of side effects, especially muscle cramps. there are things like CoQ10. CoQ10 occur naturally in your body, you know. But as you get older, CoQ10 get less and less and less. CoQ10 let you have more energy and prevent the side effects of statin. And for a time, people thought that statin can contribute to dementia. Huh? You heard this scare? You probably have. Huh? But further research has shown that it does not. In fact, it's the reverse. Statin actually protects you from dementia. Now, how about the preventive use of statins? So, a lot of people in the past, they were given a blood test, high cholesterol, they were prescribed statin even though they don't have any heart disease. I think that different people are different. In fact, the conventional thinking is do nothing unless you have heart disease. You may be those that can live with a higher cholesterol level as long as you don't have heart disease, as long as you don't have hypertension, then perhaps live with it, but monitor. Make sure that you remain healthy, be actively exercising. Yes?
Isn't the best way to eat egg? I read that the egg, to get the nutrients from egg, is best to eat it boiled. Is that the best way to eat egg?
Eggs.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, it doesn't make any difference. Unless you're looking at other things, other vitamins that may be present in egg yolk. Egg yolk contain a lot of vitamins, which if you eat it hard boiled, you may not get. And there are a lot of things to do with, what you want to achieve using eggs. I'm not going into that, you see. But the information is out there. On YouTube, there's plenty of videos on this kind of thing. I honestly don't think it makes a difference as far as cholesterol is concerned. The yolk is full of cholesterol, right? And note that for the young of the bird, the egg is a basic nutrition. Same for the young of your infant. Your infant needs cholesterol. Don't restrict yolks and things that have cholesterol to your infant until way past 2 years when the brain is being formed. Because the brain needs cholesterol. Okay? So these are some of the latest information that you get on this slide. So what does iteracare does with the iteracare waves? Well, iteracare has the ability to open up blood vessels. Certainly there's a relaxing effect of iteracare. Then we know that terahertz waves has the ability to stimulate the production of nitric oxide, which is a transmitter that open up your blood vessels. Nitric oxide is in medications such as Viagra and related compounds. They open up. That's why Viagra is used in diabetics nowadays, not because for anything but to open up the blood vessels. So terahertz waves have this effect. They stimulate repair of myocardium. That's what terahertz waves can do. And judging from the various accounts of people with stable angina who kind of radiate themselves with terahertz waves, it probably activates HDL action, thereby reducing the plaques. Provided your angina is stable. Unstable, please see a doctor and get attended to straight away. Don't hesitate. And reduce psychological stress. A lot of it is mind-body connection. That's why in my books I always stress that. So that is very important. Psychology has a lot to do with the heart and heart diseases and blood pressure and cholesterol and all these things. Stress can produce high blood pressure. Stress can produce a rapid pulse rate, can produce a lot of things, you see. So, iteracare has a lot of successes with several disorders and conditions. And it will, while iteracare can help a lot with diseases, I don't recommend using that for that alone. With increasing age, you're at risk for more and more diseases. And because of my perspective of promoting preventive medicine, I like to promote this device for prevention, especially if you have a family history. But prevention has a cost. Not in monetary terms. Prevention in monetary terms is very cheap. Exercise is very cheap, right? You don't have to pay to exercise unless you want to go to a high-class gym and pay the kind of fees there. Fine, go ahead. But it's free. The cost of not attending to your own prevention of your health is more costly. It's easier to prevent heart disease by exercise, look at your diet, look at your lifestyle, learn to manage stress. Take some effort, but it's free.
Yeah.
But your heart disease, you pay a lot, one of my patients was a politician from a nearby country. He got very bad heart disease, and I was attending to him. You know what's his bill like? After some months of hospitalization, of course he was staying in the A-class ward with an attached suite, with refrigerator, with facilities to entertain visitors and all that lah. Cost him $500,000. If you have that $500,000, I can do a lot with it. Than to just stay in hospital and entertain my visitors with all the paraphernalia they offer. Not worth it. You see? So, I believe in prevention. In prevention. Therapeutic effect is dramatic. So, heart disease, blah, 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 you put a video, wow, very dramatic. And people say, oh, maybe I can. Motivation is highest of therapeutic use. When you have a disease, you'll do anything. $500 only. Oh, that's cheaper than my treadmill examination. So buy it. No issue. Opportunity cost is very low. Very dramatic. But you are at higher risk. It can do it. It may not, depending on where you are. And certainly it will not cause a dramatic change in the lifestyle effects of your life, right? There are things that you can do, there are things you cannot do. And like anything, we need to be careful. You see? So, at the end of the day, you're going to ask yourself, what are you in for? If you just want just to maintain yourself, happy-go-lucky, come what may, hey Sarah, whatever will be, fine. But if you want to live your long life and enjoy every minute of your long life, prevention. I strongly recommend that. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
Yes.
So, they're suitable for all these things, inflammation, pain, blockages, By the way, I want to let you know one very important thing. It's discovered now that a lot of diseases, whether heart disease, everything, has to do with the first group. It's to do with inflammation. There's a lot of evidence to support it. All the chronic diseases has to do with inflammation. So, all these things you know already. Well, thank you for watching. This is an iteracare scan which I do for you. Which, if you have any doubts as to what to use a scan for, this can help you decide for yourself. Yeah, you have a question?
Your email. Let's see your email.
Yeah.
So you said your slide just prior to this that it's not suitable for congenital conditions.
Huh?
People with congenital heart.
Congenital heart disease. That means they are there since birth.
Yeah. Okay. So those with existing, I mean not congenital, I mean typical people. Which area to start to do the?
Which area to start? There are the people who recommended you to buy will have given you a PDF document that tells you different condition, right?
That's correct.
There is
Yeah.
also a general scan where you do about 6 or 10 steps, right?
Yeah.
You can do either one.
Okay.
I use it on in a general scan, general body scan, paying particular attention to the things I'm concerned about. My skin, my heart, my prostate, which are areas of my concern, right? And this basically and generally, and my bones, yeah, because I have arthritis.
Can it renew or regenerate? I mean, in some of the information mentioned that can regenerate some cells, right? So in the case, say for example,
Yeah, there's an anti-aging effect.
right. So say for like myocarditis or say your heart tissues has been dead, is it possible to regenerate it?
I think if the amount of heart tissue is small, I won't pay attention. Like for example, my scar tissue is a small area, so I didn't pay much attention to it because I still can run, I still can jog, I still can run up the staircase, so it didn't affect me functionally. But if you're concerned about that, I would combine this with the use of anti-aging medication. That means stem cell products combined together, very effective. See, there's a result of an experiment where they perfuse a heart patient with stem cells. This was monitored very closely because they were doing research. So the perfuse the heart with these stem cells injected, and after the perfusion, within a few days, no more stem cells were detected in the blood. But the regeneration of the cells still carry on. So when they examined the blood, they found that the stem cells actually stimulate the production of a lot of growth factors. You see, your cell is able to repair not because of any stem cells, but also it stimulates the production of all the growth factors. And that you need to repair a particular tissue. You need several growth factors, not just one. Several. And it's these growth factors that continue the repair even though the stem cell has disappeared. You see? That is the effect you want. You see? And that effect is biochemical, it's at the site. That is what we want. This can help. It may make it faster, it may be more consistent or whatever, but whatever it is, this thing is very hard to. This thing is like agar, you know. There is no standardization as to how much you give, at what dose, at what distance it is radiated, then you will produce a consistent effect. It's like taking supplements, you see. Like somebody say, oh, I have high cholesterol, I take curcumin. Say, yeah. The curcumin depends on where you buy it from. The quality is variable. I have a heart disease. I don't really depend on that. I won't take my medication because I know exactly. See, my cholesterol now is total cholesterol is below 100, which is very good. But I can't depend on a supplement now because the standardization is notorious. I wouldn't depend on it. No, this is good. So you supplement, you know. That's why supplements are called supplements. This is equivalent to a supplement. You see, if you have something real, take something real, which have that effect. You see? I would do that. Yeah. Any other questions?
Dr. Kong, I ask you, when you're talking about the eggs, right? Is it children, adults, and all got limit, like they keep eating the eggs?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
If you read a lot of articles by a lot of physicians, their minds are totally changed now. In the past, we cannot take eggs because of the cholesterol. So I used to take eggs but without the yolk until the new results show that yeah, it's safe. So I take my 2 eggs regularly. One doctor even say, yeah, you can take 4 eggs. Yeah, because your body produces 1,000 what? If you take it in the diet, your body will produce less. And there are days when I take 2 eggs. I remember one day when I have my 2 eggs and my friend say, we don't need an egg tonight, we have 1. So I take 3. And lunchtime I take another 1, 4. Nothing happened. I didn't die. Thunder and lightning didn't happen. But no, the important thing is you got to understand that cholesterol is natural. That's why your body produces it. Unless you have a family history, unless there are some abnormalities that cause you to be obese. There are some families that everyone is obese, and it's not due to diet, it's due to some abnormalities. See? If it's that, then be careful. Just make sure you are not at risk for any disease. For example, beef, coconut oil was taboo, right? Don't take coconut oil, it's saturated fat, and beef you cannot take because it's red meat and all that kind of thing. And they do all the research studies to thousands of people, everything, and monitor their trajectory. Boleh, can't see it, be safe. So now they are saying that, and in fact, long ago there was this study, of Irish cousins. You know, Irish people, a lot of them migrated to the States, right? So they compare the Irish cousins in the America, in New York City, office workers, bank pushers, executives, compared with the cousins in Ireland, farmers, farm workers and all that. Cholesterol, everything all same. Diet about the same, Italian, Irish. But the cousins in New York have more heart attacks than their cousins in Ireland. And it was from that study that we began to realize that it has to do with activity. The cousins in New York are less active. In fact, this has been done many times. There was also another study that compared 2 companies. One company, the employees were more active than the other. And you see this difference as well. So that's why these are all lifestyle diseases. How you live a life. There's a tiger outside, I don't want to go out and walk. Fine. Whether the tiger is there, I don't know. But as far as I know, nobody got killed. So if a tiger in the street prevents you out to go out and exercise and do your normal things, fine. In my book on panic attacks, I described an elderly lady who was housebound for years. When the husband comes to see me, say, can you do a housebound? I said, no. He goes, why won't you ask her to come here? Because if I go to the house, I only encourage her to be housebound. So she came. She came to me. And I'm half Teochew. She speaks Teochew. So I speak to her in Teochew. Oh, she loved it. So she connected with me. And eventually I told her, hey, you need a life. You're afraid that your daughter will grow up and you miss a daughter. I pursue man. You want a grandchild? Let your daughter go, you have a grandchild. And the Chinese love grandchildren. So she grew up. And the last I saw of her, She was enjoying. She joined church. She was
Nice.
playing cards with friends,
Really
going out for meals. She's enjoying my life. That's what I do as a physician. Whatever I do, I document it in my books. In my books, a lot of case history of actual people with actual diseases and
True
what they
life
do with their
story, yeah.
lives. Right?
Okay.
Any other question?
I'm good. Yeah, thank you.
Huh? No questions?
You conduct your class in Mandarin
In English mostly.
mostly.
Yeah. To do it in Mandarin, I can, but I need an translator to translate everything in Mandarin. Then I can do it. At one time, I was looking to do that because somebody wanted it in Mandarin. So I was doing some of my stuff into Mandarin, but mostly in English.
Yeah, I have to.
Any other questions? No question. So you all understood perfectly. Okay, very good. Thank you.
Because they need a referral. It's not launched yet.